Hi guys, it's Anna. Welcome back to my channel, and today I am very excited because we are going to be talking about 5 books that my students love to read. So for those of you that do not know, I do teach 5th grade as my normal day-to-day job, and that includes teaching 10, 11, sometimes 12-year-olds on a daily basis. I am considered a self-contained teacher, which means that I teach all the subjects: reading, math, science, English, writing, spelling, social studies, everything. So I have found over the years that a big positive way to engage my students and to get them excited about reading is to find really good quality books that they enjoy. During a normal school year, I read 1 novel every 6 weeks. So my students read 6 books a year together as a class, and we do discussions about them. I have them write summaries. I sometimes just ask them basic questions, and we have really good group discussions pertaining to the topics that arise from the book. I also use the class books as a way to incorporate different topics that are covered on the STAR test, because I am from Texas, so the students do have to take a test at the end of the year. And those skills that I review include things like point of view, figurative language, and all of those other good things that we teach while going over the book, but I teach them with novels. I also try to keep an extensive classroom library. Usually every time that I go to a bookstore, I'll buy, of course, for myself, and then I'll buy at least 1 or 2 books for my students. That way I can keep them in the classroom library, and throughout the year they can check them out and check them back in. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the books. So the first book that I'm going to talk to you about today is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. And this is one of the first books that I tried to read with my whole class. And it is about a boy named August Pullman, and he is born with Treacher-Collins syndrome, which basically creates a facial abnormality on him. And because of that, he cannot attend mainstream school because he's going through so many surgeries through the first part of his life, and he just cannot function in normal school. The summer before his 5th grade year, his parents decide to enroll him in a private school because his parents feel that they are lacking some skills to give him a really good education, and they also feel that he needs to be included in a normal childhood and see how normal students behave. However, when Augie's enrolled, he still has a lot of facial abnormalities. The surgeries did not take care of everything that he had, so he still has to navigate this world of normal kiddom with the fact that he looks different from everyone else, and he's been homeschooled for so long. As far as teacher points, the book is told through different characters' points of view, so we get to discuss how each character is feeling at different times of the book. There is also a ton of figurative language as far as idioms, similes, metaphors that I can incorporate into lessons. As far as other points not related to like actual reading topics, we have a lot of discussion about empathy. I teach my students about empathy using this novel. We talk a lot about bullying and how bullying is not always hitting someone or being directly mean to them. And I also use this novel to talk about what true friendship means. Like I said, this is usually the first novel that I read with my class, and it really sets a good stage for the rest of the year. Major trigger warning in this novel is bullying. There is bullying throughout the whole novel, but I think that it's a very good thing for students to read about. And I feel that this is one of those novels that really puts that aspect into perspective for the kids. The second book on this list is Hatchet by Gary Paulson. This novel is about a 13-year-old boy named Brian Robeson. His parents are recently divorced, and he's traveling on like a tiny plane, just him and the pilot. And the pilot is taking him to Canada. While they are on the way, the pilot ends up having a heart attack. Brian has to fly the plane on his own, He ends up crashing the plane into the middle of the Canadian wilderness, and he has nothing except the clothes on his back and a hatchet that his mother gave to him before he left. My students love this story, especially the ones that are very outdoorsy. It's all about survival, and the deeper themes are of Brian finding himself and dealing with all of his feelings and emotions from his parents' divorce. As far as teacher points, again, it is fantastic for figurative language. There's also some science concepts that come out throughout the novel that I make reference to as we are reading. For example, like the topic of light and refraction. We also get to see like different animals appear in the novel, which the students love discussing as well. As far as other like general topics, we discuss a lot about how family life can change and how sometimes we have to rely on ourselves. And that's something that we always have really good discussions about. Trigger warnings for graphic death, thoughts of suicide, and there are like a few places in the novel where Brian like vomits, and some of my kids do not like that whatsoever. The third book on this list that I also read with my students is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. This is a YA fantasy with a lot of Greek mythology mixed in. Percy Jackson is a young boy in middle school who finds out that he is the son of a Greek god. So he is sent to a summer camp for other demigods. And while he is there, he has to prove himself to the other campers. He has to figure out who his father is, and he eventually is sent on a quest that will help to clear his father's name. This is a series that my students really get into. I always have a ton of kids that read the second book, and I always have at least 2 or 3 students that end up reading the whole series by the end of the year. As far as teacher points, I love that this book incorporates so much Greek mythology. My students are in 5th grade, and in my state, 5th grade is still elementary school, so we don't get a chance to talk about Greek mythology that often in elementary school. So this gives us a lot of great talking points. We talk about the Greeks, we talk about different inventions that they've made, we talk about Greek history, we talk about the gods and the goddesses. So lots of good talking points with this book. As far as a personal level, I love that Percy is ADHD and dyslexic. There's a line in there where Percy says, you know, I'm ADHD and dyslexic. And the students that I have in my class with those similarities feel more like, wow, this author actually wrote a book about someone like me. There are some trigger warnings for violence, and there is a little bit of like romance in the book as well. If you think that either one is going to be a problem, you might want to read through it just before you have your students read it. So now I am going to talk about a couple of other series that my students love reading on their own. The first one, very popular if you have a younger sibling or you have kids of your own, you have probably already heard of this series, and that is Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kinney. My kids love, love, love these books. They are so funny. The art is very basic and they love it. In the series, we follow Greg, who is thrust into the world of middle school and dealing with different family issues and just trying to make his way in the world. And Jeff Kinney does a great job of explaining all of these factors through story and pictures and different funny scenarios that a lot of the kids can relate to. And finally, the last set of books that my students love to read is the I Survive series by Lauren Tarshis. These are historical fiction books, and they have a bunch of different topics. So they have I Survived the Titanic sinking, I Survived Hurricane Katrina, I Survived the Battle at Gettysburg, I Survived the Great Shark Attack, all different kinds of topics. And usually all of my students can find at least one that interests them. These books are really short. They're around 100 pages or less, depending on the title. And usually they're packed with action, and that's something that my students really like. So I hope that you found this video helpful if you have a younger sibling or maybe a child at home and you're trying to find some age-appropriate literature for them to read. If you like this video and you would like to see more content from me, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I will also leave links to my Instagram and my Goodreads account if you would like to friend me. And please leave me a comment down below if you would like to see a part 2 of this video. And I think that will be it for today. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope that you all are staying safe. Wear your mask, sanitize your hands, give yourself a hug if needed. And yeah, I hope you have a great day. Take care, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.